Hi friends, I'm Amy and this is A-Star Reads. It's time for the game of A Bookish Life, and I know that several people have been waiting for this for a while, so it's finally back. I took a little time off this summer because I had other things that I wanted to get accomplished, like, well, I traveled for most of July, and then August I was doing my 1 week 1 shelf challenge, which I'm still doing. So if you want to know more about that, I will link the first video up here. You can go check it out and see what I got up to in the month of August. So let's talk about September, because the school year is starting. I'm substitute teaching again, unfortunately. I mean, I'm hoping, I applied for a job that I'm hoping, fingers crossed, please all cross your fingers for me. But at the moment, I know that I'm substitute teaching. So we'll be busy, but I also try and always make time for reading. And I have a readathon that I'm gonna be doing, that I'm gonna be co-hosting in September. So I'll talk about that a little bit more later. I'll talk to you a little bit about HRCYED, because every month I'm trying to pick a prompt for HRCYED that I work on, like a specific section, not a prompt. And I'll tell you what section I'm gonna be actively working on in the month of September. I am not gonna worry about telling you how I did with my June books, because that was so long ago. And I don't think I read, I don't think I actually read them. Well, let me look. Okay, hold on, because I'm curious now, actually. Okay, I actually did better than I thought I did. So I had to read Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Semple, and I did read this. Then I had to read Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I still have not read this one. It's been on so many TBRs. And then I needed to read The New Menopause by Mary Claire Haver. I have started this. I still haven't been able to get back to it. Next was The Lion Game by Ruth Ware. I DNF'd this one. And then there was A Lady for a Duke by Alexis Hall, and I did read this one. So that was 1, 2, 3, 2 completed, 1 DNFs, and I read 48% of that DNF. So I mean, I did my due diligence. Then 1 that I've started, and so there's only 1 that I haven't touched. So that's actually pretty darn good. I'm feeling good about June. Okay, that being said, I no longer have punishments for my game. And so whatever ends up happening, happens. And these are sort of like pile of possibilities. But of course, I would like to prioritize them because they come up on my game. And of course, if you don't know any of the rules or all the things about my game, you can go ahead and look at this video at the beginning of this year to see what it's all about. And I will tell you that one thing that's changing this particular month that was different than the last couple of months is that the viewer prompt is turning into viewer prompts. Because I've been doing seasonal giveaways for people who have been doing the viewer prompts and helping me, because my very first turn, if you submit the viewer prompt, as long as I get at least 10 submissions, I can move forward up to 10 spaces on the board. And I appreciate everyone who participates, because it gives me a chance to move forward on the board faster, and it gives you a chance to be submitted for the viewer prompt giveaway that I do every quarter. So since I didn't have a TBR game in July or August, in September, since this is the last month of the quarter that we're currently in, I'm giving you multiple opportunities to submit for the giveaway. And what that means is that every single prompt that I get today, you also get. And you can do however many of these prompts you can do within the month. You can only submit 1 book for each prompt though. And if you do a DNF, you have to read at least 50% of that book. So I'm not gonna tell you right now how many prompts you're gonna have and basically how many submissions you'll be able to do for this particular season, this final month of the season, because that's kind of the fun of the gameplay. And, you know, sometimes I end up with more books than I planned on. But I do typically start with 4 prompts. So make sure you're paying attention when I start doing my spins, because every single prompt that I end up with myself, you're gonna be doing as well. I mean, you know, you can do however many or however few you want. But if you wanna have more submissions for the giveaway, I highly recommend doing them all. Let's go ahead and find out what prompt 1 is gonna be. Okay, I'm seriously excited to see what happens this month, especially because all these prompts are both yours and my prompts. So fingers crossed we get something good. So of course, as usual, we'll be starting out with 4 prompts. And for the first one, since at least 10 of you submitted books for love, romance, or prominent relationship, we get to move forward the maximum of 10 spaces. So we're starting with that. So our first prompt, yours and my first prompt, is gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Insta scroll. Oof. I don't know how I feel about that one. How do you feel about that one? Okay, now I'm gonna do my Insta scroll, and this is always nerve-wracking because you never know what's gonna come up. I do have bookish creators on my Instagram, but I also follow a lot of other Instagram users for different topics that are not bookish. So I'll be curious to see how long it takes for me to find a book on here that I own, because it's got to be a book that I own. That's going to be my rule for this. Okay, I'm getting ready to screen share. There we go. Okay, there's Doris and Char.
So let's see, not a book, no books. She has books. I don't know that. Am I gonna try and view all these books here? I don't think so. I think I'm gonna try and find a stack or something. How long is it gonna take? Teacher stuff, food stuff, teacher stuff, dance stuff, earrings. Okay, do I own any of these? The Apples or New Eden? No. Thank you, Natalie. The Darkness Outsiders, I don't own that. Phoenix Unbound, 7 Days in June? No, I don't own any of these. So that's not gonna be it.
I don't own The Tainted Cup. I don't own that. I don't own that. That's super cute. I want that shirt.
Okay, keep going.
I don't own that. I don't own that by Isabel Allende. Nope, I don't own that. I might own the first one though. Does it count if I own the first one? Do I still own the first one? So, Textiles for You Books is listening to Our Violent Ends, which is the sequel, I think, to These Violent Delights, and I do own These Violent Delights. Does that mean I read this?
Let's see what's next. I know it's cheating, but let's just bear with me. No, don't own that. Don't own that. Just curious what would come up. Okay, I read that. Nope, don't own that. Yeah, I'll come back when she's ready to move forward to the next one. Ooh, Richard, what are you talking about? I don't even know you. Do I follow you? Nope, don't have either of these. Any of these. Oh, of course she's not gonna move on until we're not going with that. Okay. Keep looking.
Keep looking. Oh! Well, that's because it's from the same... I was like, wait a minute. How did that come up again? I read that.
I don't have any of these other ones, though. But that's one that's really pretty obscure that I don't hear people talking about ever. Best books I've read this year, more than 5 years old. Let's see. Maybe one of these. I probably should go with the first in that series, and I might. But let's just see what my next option is. Just because it technically didn't land on These Violent Delights. I'm still kind of hoping. I own that. I've read it. I do want to reread that at some point, but that's a long one. I'm not rereading that right now.
I do have that. Okay. No. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop. I'm going to go with These Violent Delights because I'm not ready to move forward on Brandon Sanderson yet. Not yet. I still got to get through Robin Hobb. So let me stop this. Okay. So for book one, this is both good and bad because I'm getting to a book that I've had on my TBR, my physical TBR, for a very long time. But it's bad because I honestly don't really need this book for anything. I figured out my Seasonathon TBR. I figured out HRCYED. I figured out I haven't figured out what this book will work for HRCYED. I'm gonna make it work for something for HRCYED. But I don't need to read this. It's just it's so not necessary. But that's okay because it's fun to do these Insta scrolls and it's fun to have the opportunity to pick up a book that I wouldn't otherwise have any reason to pick up right now. And so as you saw, the book that I'm gonna be reading is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. And I have been curious about this book for a very long time because of all the mixed reviews I hear. I know people who love it. I know people who absolutely cannot stand it. And I like to make my own opinion and find out if this is going to be the book for me. This is basically a Romeo and Juliet retelling, if I remember correctly, but set in Shanghai in 1926. So it's historical fantasy. Is it YA or is it adult? I don't remember. But it's about this blood feud between these two families. And of course, I imagine if it's Romeo and Juliet retelling, one member from one family falls in love with one member from the other family. And of course, they probably have very important roles within these families because otherwise the stakes wouldn't be very high. And so I am looking forward to getting to this book eventually. I just don't know you know, how motivated I am to get to it this month. So this is book 1. And of course, your viewer prompt, your very first viewer prompt is an Instagram scroll where you're going to scroll through Instagram. You can determine whether it's just a book that you have on your want to read in general, or if it's a book you have on your physical TBR, because I wanted a book from my physical TBR. But either way, you're supposed to pick the very first book that comes up that you have access to. And as you saw, it wasn't necessarily this book, but it was the sequel or one of the sequels to this. I thought that that was the best option. Okay, so I can spin the wheel, but our second prompt is automatically going to be TBR game because we have to stop there. So I'll spin it for the sake of the game, and we have to stop at TBR game. Okay, so for the TBR game, I've decided that I'm going to play Gavin's game of high or low. What is it called? I'll put it up here because right now I don't have a lot of brain cells that are working, that are actively working. But basically the way this game works, and he doesn't play it anymore, but he used to play it a ton. You pick 2 books, one book that you're really excited to read and one book that you're not so excited to read. And these are 2 books that I actually need to read, but one I'm very excited to read and one, yeah, not so excited to read. So for my excited book, the book that I'm really ready to get to, I do need to get to it because it is my new release for the month of August. And that's A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sengu Mandana. I've heard amazing things about this. I'm very curious about it. It'll get me into the fall vibes, especially in the month of September. I hope I get this one. I hope I get this one. The one I also need to read, but not quite as excited to read, is How Did I Get Here by Jessie Browner. And this is a book that was one of my lowest rated books on my TBR that I needed for HRCYED 1.0 for last year. I still want to finish that vlog because I've already worked a lot towards it. I'm thinking about how I might adjust it. I am interested, just not feeling it and not excited about it the way I'm excited about A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. If I lose, I have to read it and it will push me to get that vlog done, but I'm not nearly as excited to read it. So we'll put 5 cards down, and for each of those cards, I have to determine whether the next card is higher or lower. And aces are high or low, and if the next card you flip over is the same, then you have to flip another card. And basically, it's still higher or lower from the one you'd already decided on. And if I make it all the way to the end without losing, then I get to read A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. So let me show you my setup, and we'll find out what I'm gonna end up reading. Okay, here's my cards.
Well, split it again. I'm gonna go with this.
So let's see what ends up happening. We got to flip this one over to find out what we're starting with. 2. Well, that's nice. That's very generous. So I definitely think it's going to be higher than a 2. I don't think it's possible to be lower than a 2. So let's see what we're going to get next. A 7. That is not pleasant because a 7's like right smack dab in the middle. I really, really want to read this. I want to prioritize this. And this will happen eventually. Just doesn't necessarily need to be my priority. Okay, a 7. What am I going to do for a 7? Higher or lower? Do I think the next one's going to be higher? Based on this, I would think it would be lower because, you know, that totally makes sense, right? Let's see. I'm going to go with higher. I'm feeling higher. Okay, here we go. Please tell me I'm right. Oh my gosh, barely. Oh no. Okay. Oh, is it higher or lower than an 8? I think it's going to be lower than an 8. Oh, that's too quick of a decision. 8 is also not a very good number because it's such, they're like right in the middle. They're right in the middle. Okay, I think it's going to be lower than an 8. I don't know why I think that, but I just think it. Let's find out if I'm right or wrong. No, 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 no. Okay, well, this is on the TBR. Let's see what this would have been. Well, you know, dang it. Editing Amy here, and I was thinking back to Gavin's game, and if I remember correctly, the book that lost, you weren't allowed to read for that month. So, like, technically I couldn't read The Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping in the month of September. and I'm gonna honor that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm almost done with my 1 week, 1 shelf challenge. And once I finish the book I'm currently working on, I'm gonna switch over to A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. And because it's a quick fantasy romance, a cozy fantasy romance, I'm hoping that it will only take me a day and a half to read. So that is the plan, is I have to get it done before the end of August. And I think it's possible. I think it's possible. I just want to let you know that I'm not trying to cheat at Gavin's game. Okay, so for my TBR game prompt, I used Higher or Lower, which is Gavin's old game that he used to play, which was so much fun, and I still love it, and a lot of people still play it. So I was like, yeah, you know, that's gonna be a nice, easy one to do. I'm gonna be reading How Did I Get Here by Jessie Browner, and this is a memoir called Making Peace with the Road Not Taken, and I picked this up as an unhaul for my friend Margaret Pinard, and I'm excited to read it because I have definitely struggled in the last couple of years with the road not taken and being okay with the direction that my life has gone in. And, you know, I've dealt with it through therapy and stuff like that. I think it's an important topic, and it has been a significant topic for me. And I would like to read more about other people's experiences and stuff like that. So it sounded interesting when I picked it up, but it's got a really low rating, and I don't know what to expect. It's gonna happen. It's gotta happen at some point soon, and hopefully, because it's on my TBR, it'll happen this month. This also means that you need to pick someone's TBR game, someone out there in the BookTube community, and play their TBR game so that you can get a prompt that you need to fulfill. And if you don't want to actually play their game, you can watch one of their videos and pick a prompt of their own gameplay, but it only needs to be one. You don't have to do all 5 of the prompts that they got while they played their game. So pick wisely and good luck. Let's see, we're gonna go for our third move, second spin. 2, not very far. 1, 2. Ooh, this one's fun. Google Earth. Oh, it doesn't give us a lot of options though. I was hoping for easier prompts this month. Okay, so the way the Google Earth prompt works is that you go to Google Earth and you pull it up. And here, I'll show you my screen. We've got Google Earth here, and there is the ability to like randomize a location on Earth. So if you go and you click search Google Earth, you'll see I'm feeling lucky, and there's a little dice there. And if you click that, it'll take you to a random place on Earth. It's more likely to be a random like feature or location, or like I've gotten like a desert before or something along those lines. So you get this random place on Earth, and it's really too hard to say like I have to read a book from the country that this place is located in, or I mean, it shouldn't be too hard, but it could be too hard because I'm trying to read as much of the books that I own as possible. So it's actually more loose than that. I don't necessarily have to just read a book from that country. It'd be great, maybe I will, or maybe that will work out. Or it could be like, say I got Big Ben in the UK, like the big clock tower. Then maybe it could be a book that has Big Ben on the cover or something like that. Or maybe it could be a book set in London, or it could be historical, because I think of Big Ben, I think of historical London. I know that Big Ben is still around today, but a lot of the books that you read that are historical and set in London will feature Big Ben in some way a lot of times. So I'm feeling lucky. We're gonna find out what my prompt is. This isn't necessarily gonna be yours. You could use mine, but you can go to this Google Earth feature yourself and pick your own location. You don't have to use mine, but if you want to use mine, you're totally welcome to. So I'm feeling lucky. Here I go. Ratak Chain is a chain of islands and atolls within the island nation of the Marshall Islands. Ratak means sunrise. It lies to the east of the country's other island chain, the Raleigh chain. In 1999, the total population of the Ratak Islands was 30,925. And then you can click on Wikipedia and find out more information about Ratak. And there's a whole bunch of islands. So of course, thinking about this as a prompt, it could be a book set on an island. It could be a book that's set in the Marshall Islands. That would be like bonus points. There's no bonus points, but that would be like bonus points. It could be a book that has a sunrise on the cover. If Ratak means sunrise, then I would say that that could be a book that has a sunrise on the cover. So this is meant to be interpreted however you need to interpret it to be able to pick a prompt. Okay, so for the Google Earth, I love this prompt because it's so random, but that's the other problem, is it's very random and you never know what you're gonna get. And so for this one, what I decided to do was go with A Shipwreck in Fiji by Nilima, and I'm happy that I'm putting this on my TBR because I recently picked this up at my local used bookstore. And this is the second book in the Sergeant Akal Singh mystery series. I really enjoyed the first one a lot. When I saw this at the bookstore, I was like, oh, perfect, because the publishing is nice. This is a nice book, published by Soho Press in New York. For this, I feel like it works because the Ratak chain is part of the Marshall Islands in the Pacific Ocean. When I was looking into it, there weren't a lot of options as far as what I could read for this. There were some great options, but like I'd have to buy the book and it would be really expensive, or other things that didn't necessarily work with what I wanted to do right now. And I was thinking, well, I think if I read from other Pacific Islanders, not necessarily from the Marshall Islands, but just Pacific Islanders in general, I think that would work. And this book is set on an island in the Pacific. So this is set in Fiji, and this is written by a Pacific Islander. So I feel like this works perfectly for that prompt. And what is interesting about this series is Akal Singh is from India, and he was forced to go to Fiji because of things that happened in his work. Was he in Singapore, or he was somewhere, was he in Singapore? He's a sergeant in this detective group or what have you, and he was doing great at his work. But something happened in Singapore or wherever else it was, I can't remember at the moment. They demoted him basically, not by demoting him from being a sergeant, but they placed him in Fiji where it's a lot more laid back. He can't get into as much trouble, and it's a really hard situation for him. He deals with a lot of prejudice. He deals with a lot of different aspects of colonialism that are tricky, and he has to see a lot of things that are tricky as well. So I feel like it's a very interesting conversation that goes along with the mystery, and you're learning a lot about the history of Fiji. You're learning a lot about the cultural elements of Fiji and how it is the way it is now based on the past. And so I really did like that first book, and I also enjoyed the mystery of it. So I'm looking forward to this book. And of course, your third prompt is to go to Google Earth and randomize your search so that you end up with something that gives you a prompt, something that gives you inspiration. And I can't wait to hear what you end up landing on. So make sure you tell me not only what book you chose for Google Earth, but like how you came to that. I want to hear how you came to it. And I have a feeling this might be our final move. So our fourth move, third spin, let's see what's gonna happen. Ooh, 7. Okay, let's see. Is that going to stay on the board? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It does. And this is a diversity spin. So I'm going to spin the wheel again, and whatever color comes up, I will look over here and it'll tell me what diversity representation needs to be in that book. So let's see. Orange. Orange is disability rep. Well, that's a nice easy one. So we have to have a book that has some form of disability rep. This includes mental health rep. And finally, our fourth prompt is one of the easier prompts because we just had to spin the wheel and find out what kind of representation we were going to be looking at, focusing on. And we ended up on disability rep, which I also include mental health rep when I look at disability rep. And so for that, I am going with Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez because this is the September book for BookStara read-alongs anyways. I do need to read this book. It works out perfectly because our main male character has depression, severe depression that he has dealt with for a very long time. And our main female character has a brother who is actively dealing with kidney disease and he needs a donor. And so I think that there are aspects of disability representation, both mental health and chronic illness disabilities, that are focused on in this particular book. And I'm really looking forward to reading this one because I actually really liked both of these characters when we briefly learned about them in the previous book, which is...
What did I just read? I just read a book. And I don't know what... Oh!
Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. So this is the next one. If you want to read this series with us, or you have already read it and want to come chat with us about it, I will link the announcement video for BookStara read-alongs up here. Go check it out. Come join us. Come join the discussions. We love to hear everybody's thoughts and opinions. And we've been having a lot, maybe too much fun with this particular series so far. And of course, that means that your final prompt for the month is also disability/mental health representation. And just make sure that the book includes it either as a main character or an important aspect of the book, or if the author has a disability or is neurodiverse or has some sort of mental health situation that they have dealt with, because we're still representing these communities even if the book isn't specifically talking about that. So that means that you're going to have 4 possible submissions. And of course, what I'm asking from you is to let me know what book it was. If it has something special like the TBR game prompt or the Google Earth prompt, let me know why or what prompt led you to that book. And then, of course, give me a brief review of it, because people might look in the comment sections and find books that they are interested in reading and hear that you loved it, you gave it 5 stars, and then they'll be inclined to read it themselves. Or you may give it a 1 star or DNF it, and maybe they're like, oh, maybe I should stay away from that. Or maybe I should read it because I want to see if I feel the same way. So the book, your star rating, a basic idea of how you felt about the book, and of course, anything special that lets us know how you picked that book. So these are the books on my current Game of Bookish Life TBR. This isn't a horrible stack. I think the only one I'm a little concerned about, because I just don't know if I'm going to prioritize it, is these Violent Delights. I have reasons to read these other 3, like strong reasons to read these other 3 throughout the month. And so this is the only one that I'm like, it has the chance of not getting picked. However, I think I'm going to try and use a spinner wheel this month to help me determine what I'm reading next. So we'll see. But I'm going to weight certain books in certain ways, not like WAIT, but like WEIGHT. On the spinner wheels, you can give certain books more weight versus less weight. And I think I'm going to try and do that with the books that are both on my Game of Bookish Life and for the readathon that I'm doing. Okay, so let's talk about Seasonathon Academy, because I'm ready to start school through Seasonathon and work towards my bachelor's of reading. And of course, I'm co-hosting with the creator of Seasonathon, and that is Melanie from Completely Melanie, and of course, my wonderful friend Paige from Paige of the Page. And so I'm really excited that Melanie asked Paige and I to co-host in the same month, because, you know, that'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. We're a bit goofy and silly, the 2 of us. And of course, with Melanie in the mix, we're all just going to be a little wild this time around. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. If you want to know more about Seasonathon Academy, I will link my announcement video up here so you can check it out. Come join us. We would love to have you. So for this, the group book is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. And we will be actually talking to Ashley Winstead in the month of September. So I'm really excited to read this book because I've had it on my TBR for a very long time, as far as not my physical TBR, but a book I've wanted to read for a very long time. I have wanted to read other books on my shelf. I do have other books by Ashley Winstead that I haven't got to, and maybe this will then motivate me to bring those forward and try and read them sooner rather than later. And honestly, I don't remember what this book is about at all. So I can't give you a synopsis at the moment because I didn't prepare. But it's a mystery, literally, and I think it's also a bit thriller-ish. And these are always fun because you never know what you're going to get into. And sometimes it's better not to have much of a synopsis, because then just go into it and experience the ride. So for my class, English 2050, it's a nonfiction book. And the nonfiction book, as you can imagine, that I'm planning to read for this is How Did I Get Here by Jessie Browning. So this works for this and a few other things as well. So I'm happy that this is going to be doing a lot of work this month. Next, I'll be taking English 2230, and this is a book set in the UK, and this is a required course. So English 2050 was a required course. This English 2230 is a required course. And for this, I'm going to be reading Everything is Okay by Debbie Tung. I think Paige actually was the person I heard talking about this and absolutely loved this. And it's a graphic novel, so a nice, easy read, and it's set in the UK. And I think it's going to be something I need to read this month to help me get through all the books that I would like to read this month. And this book talks about this girl's struggles with anxiety and depression. And if you're looking for a nice, easy book to read for your disability mental health representation, this would be a good one to read. For Forward Language 4120, we'll be relearning through reading translated books. And for this one, I'm picking The Unworthy by Agustina Bastarrica. I have really loved what I've read from this author so far. This is a horror author that gets very mixed reviews. And this one sounds fascinating. It's cultish. It's about these women within a convent. I've heard that there are some really disturbing things happening in this one, but I have loved the social commentary and what I have gotten from Agustina Bastarrica's writing so far. And so I think that even though this might not be for everyone, it very well might be for me. So I'm excited about this one, and it's translated from the Spanish. For the next course, you had options because I think it was like a creative writing prompt, like you had to read a book from this list of creative writing courses. And the course that I chose is English 3710, and this is to read like a writer. And for this, I needed to read a short fiction that's under 250 pages. And I decided to pick up a book that I've been wanting to read for a while, a book that I picked up specifically because it was written by my good friend Margaret Pinard, another booktuber who's amazing, and I haven't yet read any of her books, so bad on me. However, I'm excited to be reading her latest book, Orla Rafferty Seeks Her Fortune. This is the book one of the Widening Gyre. Is that how you say that? Gyre? This is an historical fiction that is about Orla Rafferty's situation after her husband dies. It's set in 1833 in the UK. Actually, this would have worked for set in the UK also, but it's my short story. And she has an income that she has bequeathed, but of course, being a woman at this time, it's difficult. It's tricky. She asks for advice from her friends and stuff, but whatever she does lands her in some trouble. And so she has to figure out how to seek her fortune and make her way through the struggle of being a woman at this time. So I'm really excited about this. I know Margaret puts a lot of work into her research, and I can't wait to finally get to read one of her books. And then finally we had a long list of electives we could choose from, and there were so many great prompts on here, so many great classes we could take, and so many classes that would work with the books that I'm currently reading. However, I decided to go with Anthropology 2800 because the class is underwater archaeology. And that sounds like something I would absolutely love. And now I want to take an underwater archaeology class, just in general. And for that, you have to read a book that simply has water on the cover, which is nice because a lot of books tend to. And for this, I'll be reading A Shipwreck in Fiji by Nilima because there's a lot of water on this cover. So this is my TBR, including In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. This is my TBR for Seasonathon Academy. This isn't bad. This is totally doable. We've got a whole bunch of short, small books, and I think I could make it through this pretty easily. So let's hope that when I do my little spinner wheel, these are the books that come up first, because I did put other books for vlogs that I want to complete or continue working on in the next couple of months. Like I did put some of those books that I'm not going to talk to you about here because they're for separate videos and stuff. I did put some of those on that spinner wheel. But like I said, I'm going to weight my readathon and my TBR books a little higher. Finally, let's talk briefly about HRCYED because in this video, I want to spin my spinner wheel and find out which challenge I'm going to focus on. And so I spun the spinner wheel and I got to make a quote. And this is one that I don't have any quotes off the top of my head that I'm really excited about. But what I did was end up searching for like the best bookish quotes of all time. And as I was going through them, the one that I read that actually made me choke up, and I think it has a lot to do with current political situation and things that are going on in the US currently. The one that made me choke up was written by Anne Frank in the Diary of Anne Frank. And this was, in spite of everything, I still believe people are really good at heart. And I don't know why, but that day that really I just thought this was a really good quote that resonated with me. And so what I have to do for this one is basically I have to read a book for every single word within the quote. In spite of everything, I still believe people are really good at heart. So I have 13 books that I'm going to have to read for this challenge, and I have to pick titles that have that word in the title. So I can give you some examples of books that have the word in it. I can use A Shipwreck in Fiji because it has the word in the title, or I can use In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. And then there's the word I, and for the word I can use In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, or I could use How Did I Get Here because it has I in the title. Oh, and the other reason I picked up this book is because Everything is Okay has the word everything in the title, so that's why I determined and picked up this book from the library. I would like to read People We Meet on Vacation at some point soon, and it has the word people in it, so I have quite a few books on here, like Shark Heart that has the word heart in it. I don't know if I'll get to them this month, but there are possibilities to get to them this month because they will help me with that make a quote prompt. And these are books that I'm also including on that spinner wheel, but I'm not going to weight them quite as highly as I'm weighting the TBR game and Seasonathon Academy. I have a lot of other books on here that will work for the different words, like the word still, the word are, the word of. I have a lot of options for heart, and these are all available to me. I would like to prioritize Shark Heart if that's possible, but if I'm not in the mood to read that, I have like 3 other books that I own that have the word heart in them. These are all possibilities, and the goal of spinning this wheel for HRCYED each month is that I try to focus on getting as many of those prompts completed for that challenge. Doesn't mean I have to have it completely done in this time period. I'll still work at other times to be able to complete these challenges, or I may complete certain parts of other challenges during this month. Like yours truly works towards my HRCYED Series Staircase prompt. So like I will be still working on other HRCYED prompts within this month, but it just means that I will focus my attention on Make a Quote. All right, that's it. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've read any of the books that I've chatted about in this video and your thoughts on them. Will I have a good chance of enjoying them or not? Also, don't forget to put your submissions in for the books that you've read. I don't yet know what cutoff day I'm gonna have towards the end of this month so that I can make sure I include the giveaway winner in my next TBR game video. I will let you know in the community tab. So definitely pay attention to some of the posts that I put up there. If you want to know like when the deadline's going to be, I will try to give you a bit of advanced warning, and that way you can get your submissions in, and I'll try to give you as much time as possible. And basically once this video posts, you can start reading the books for this prompt immediately. You don't have to wait until September 1st to start reading the books for the prompts. You can start the day that this video posts. I think that's everything. I hope so. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens. Will I complete the books that I plan on reading in the month of September? We'll find out when the October video comes around. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.